The rain didn't fall politely. It came down in a cold, flat sheet, steady enough to erase detail from the world and turn everything into gray. It blurred the cemetery lights. It soaked the sleeves of black coats. It swallowed the last bits of small talk people used when they didn't know what else to say. Lily Anderson stood under a borrowed umbrella long after the service ended. The folding chairs were gone. The hearse had left. Even the distant hum of cars on the road seemed muted, like the city had lowered its volume out of respect. Someone had tossed the final handful of dirt. Someone had said, "He's at peace." Someone had squeezed her shoulder and promised to check in. And then there was only the mound of earth and the weight of everything she couldn't undo. Her father was gone. The word still felt impossible, like it belonged to someone else's life. Her father had been the kind of man who fixed things. If something was broken, he solved it. If something hurt, he endured it. If something went wrong, he stayed calm long enough for everyone else to breathe again. Now he was beneath wet soil, and Lily was standing above it with her lungs tight and her hands numb, trying to understand how the world could keep moving like nothing had shifted. When she finally turned away, the smell of rain and damp lilies followed her, thick as perfume. She drove home in silence, wipers screeching, streetlights smeared into orange streaks across the windshield. She caught herself once reaching for her phone, the old instinct to call him and tell him she was on her way, ask if he wanted anything from the store. The realization hit hard enough to make her grip the wheel tighter. There would be no answer. There would never be another answer. The house looked the same when she pulled into the driveway, porch light on, wind chimes by the door. Her mother's old planters still lined the steps. It made the loss feel even more violent, because the world refused to change its shape. Inside, the air smelled like candles, flowers, and the stale sweetness of casseroles brought by neighbors. Condolence cards were stacked on the counter like a neat pile of grief. Lily walked through the rooms as if she was trespassing in her own life. That afternoon, she went to meet the family attorney because her calendar reminder told her to, and she didn't trust herself to make decisions anymore. His office was quiet, dusty in the way old buildings always were. Framed diplomas, shelves full of binders. A receptionist who spoke in the careful voice people used around breakable things. Mr. Holbrook stood to greet her. Gray hair, kind eyes. A handshake that lasted a fraction too long, as if he wanted to offer comfort without admitting what was coming. "I'm very sorry about your father," he said softly. "He spoke about you often." Lily nodded. Her throat wouldn't allow more. They sat. Holbrook opened a folder and took a breath that felt like the moment before bad news. "Your father left instructions," he began, but he believed he had more time. He didn't want this to land on you. Lily stared at the folder. "What is it?" "Debt," Holbrook said gently. "Medical bills, business loans, a few deals that didn't close the way he hoped. And," he paused, searching for the least cruel way to say it, "he personally guaranteed more than he should have." Lily's stomach turned. "How much?" He slid one page across the desk. Lily looked at the number and felt the floor move under her, the way it does when your body realizes something before your mind catches up. "That's not real," she whispered. "It is," Holbrook said. "And because the home was listed as collateral on one of the larger loans, the bank has authority to foreclose." Lily's ears rang. "Foreclose?" Holbrook nodded, regret in his expression. "I'm sorry. You have 30 days from the notice date." 30 days? It wasn't just a house. It was her childhood. It was her mother's laugh echoing off the kitchen tile. It was her father's tools still in the garage. It was every birthday and every fight and every quiet Sunday morning she'd ever known. 30 days, and strangers would walk through it like it meant nothing. She left the office barely aware of how she got to her car. She drove home and stood in the living room, staring at the walls as if the house itself might argue back. That night, she began packing, not because she knew where she was going, but because panic demanded action. Clothes into boxes, photos wrapped in newspaper, books stacked without order. The physical motion was the only thing that stopped her from dissolving. 2 days later, a knock sounded through the house. Not a gentle knock. A firm, confident rhythm that felt like it belonged to someone who expected doors to open. Lily wiped her hands on her jeans and walked to the entryway, her chest tight. She opened the door. A man stood on her porch like he'd stepped out of a different world entirely. He was tall, dressed in a suit so clean and sharp it looked like armor. Rain beaded on the lapels but didn't seem to touch him. His hair was perfectly cut. His face was handsome in a hard, precise way, and his eyes, cool, assessing, made Lily feel like she was being scanned for weaknesses. "Lily Anderson?" he asked. "Yes," she said cautiously. "My name is Michael Whitmore." The name hit like a headline. Michael Whitmore was the kind of attorney people described like a storm system. Unavoidable, expensive, destructive. A corporate titan, a legal predator. The man hired when a company needed an opponent erased. Lily blinked. Are you lost? No, he said. She tightened her grip on the door. If you're here to offer legal help, I can't afford you. A small pause. Not hesitation, calculation. I'm not here to offer my services, he said. I'm here to offer you a proposal. He didn't ask permission to step inside. He moved forward with quiet authority, and Lily, confused, angry, still too stunned to think clearly, stepped back. The living room was cluttered with half-packed boxes. Her grief was visible in every corner. Michael's eyes swept the space once, quick and clinical, like he was taking inventory. You're facing foreclosure, he said. Lily stiffened. How do you know that? I know, he repeated, as if details were irrelevant. She bristled. What do you want? Michael turned to her fully. I will settle your father's liabilities. Lily stared. Excuse me? Every outstanding balance, he said evenly. Medical debt, loans, penalties, all of it. Her brain tried to reject the sentence. It sounded like a scam, like a trick, like the kind of offer someone made to desperate people before taking what little they had left. You're joking, she said, voice sharp. I do not joke. Lily's hands shook. Hope flashed through her, sharp and painful, because even the possibility was enough to make her heart lurch. Why? She whispered. Why would you do that? In exchange, Michael said, you will marry me. The world tilted. Lily's breath left her lungs in a rush. For a second, she couldn't speak, like her body didn't believe language could contain that level of absurdity. You're insane, she managed. Michael's expression didn't change. No, you don't even know me, she snapped. I know enough. That's not an answer, Lily said, anger rising fast because it was easier than fear. I'm not a product you can purchase. This is not a purchase, Michael said. It's a contract. Lily laughed once, brittle. What do you get out of it? Because no one offers to erase someone's life in exchange for nothing. Michael's eyes held hers. 6 months, marriage in name, certain public obligations. After 6 months, we dissolve it. You want a fake wife? Lily said, disgusted. I want stability, he replied. She narrowed her eyes. Stability for what? Corporate functions, Michael said without emotion. Stakeholder events. Social obligations where appearance matters. A married man is less vulnerable. Lily swallowed. So, I'm a shield. In public? Michael said. Yes. And in private? Lily pressed. A beat. Michael's voice lowered slightly, colder. In private? We live separate lives. Lily's skin prickled. Separate how? You will have your own suite, he said. Your own schedule, your own space. We do not share a bedroom. We do not share a personal relationship. Lily's throat tightened. There's always a catch. There is a condition, Michael said, as if confirming a clause. What? His gaze didn't soften. No emotional involvement, no sentiment, no romantic delusion. Lily's mouth went dry. You're banning feelings. I'm setting boundaries, he corrected. And intimacy? Lily asked, hating herself for needing to know but needing the shape of the cage. Michael's voice became absolute. No intimacy. Lily blinked, partly shocked, partly relieved, which made her feel disgusting. And if the line is crossed? She asked. Agreement ends, Michael said. Your father's debt returns. The bank proceeds. He said it calmly, like weather, like gravity. Lily stared at him, hatred blooming because she could see the trap. Not physical coercion, but mathematics. He wasn't demanding her body. He was demanding her compliance. It was a prison built out of polite sentences and legal consequences. You're cruel, Lily whispered. I'm precise, Michael said. Lily wanted to throw him out. She wanted to say no and keep her dignity intact. Then her mind filled with the image of the foreclosure notice. Strangers in the living room, her mother's things sold, her father's work erased. She felt the room closing in. With a tear sliding down her cheek, anger and humiliation mixed. She said the words that tasted like defeat. Fine, I accept. Michael didn't smile. He didn't look triumphant. He simply placed a folder on the nearest box. My team drafted the contract, he said. Read it. Sign it if you agree. He turned to leave. My driver will arrive tomorrow at 9, he added. Be ready. And then he was gone, stepping into the rain without a backward glance, leaving Lily alone with the folder that would sell 6 months of her life in exchange for keeping her home. That night, she read every clause. It was airtight, cold, efficient. The kind of document written by people who didn't believe feelings should ever disrupt outcomes. At 3:08 a.m., she signed. At 9 a.m., the driver arrived. Michael's building was a tower of glass and money. Security waved her through like she belonged there. The private elevator rose silently and opened directly into a penthouse so vast and minimalist it looked like a museum. Glass walls, concrete, steel, a panoramic city view that made everything below look small and insignificant. No photographs, no books, no warmth. A woman approached, posture stiff, eyes sharp. "Welcome, Mrs. Whitmore," she said, and the name sounded ridiculous. "I'm Mrs. Gable," the woman continued. "I manage this home." "Home," Lily almost laughed. Mrs. Gable led her down a hallway to a suite on the opposite side of the penthouse from the master wing. "Mr. Whitmore's instructions are clear," Mrs. Gable said. "Your space is yours. His space is his." The closet doors opened to reveal designer clothing arranged by color, shoes lined like soldiers. Lily stared. "He bought all this?" "He arranged it," Mrs. Gable replied, as if there was no difference. Michael himself did not appear that day. Lily ate alone, unpacked alone, wandered alone through rooms that felt too large to hold a real life. At night, she lay awake listening to the hum of the building and the distant city noise below. The silence inside the penthouse wasn't peaceful. It was controlled, engineered, like a system designed to prevent anything messy from surviving. Sometime after 2 a.m, she got up for water. Barefoot, she crossed the polished floor, the city lights casting geometric shadows. In the main living area, she froze. Michael stood by the window, whiskey in hand. His jacket was gone, tie loosened, shirt partially unbuttoned. In the dim light, he looked less like a corporate predator and more like a man carrying something heavy. In his other hand was a photograph. He sensed her presence and turned sharply, flipping the photo face down on a table so quickly it felt guilty. His voice when he spoke was rougher than before. "Can't sleep? Just thirsty," Lily whispered. The softness lasted only a moment. Michael's expression reset, mask sliding back into place. "Remember the rules, Miss Anderson," he said, deliberate emphasis on her maiden name. "Maintain distance." He walked away, disappearing toward his wing, leaving Lily standing in the dark with her curiosity ignited. Dangerous, unwelcome, impossible to extinguish. 3 days later, their first public appearance arrived. A shareholder dinner for Michael's firm. Stylists arrived. Makeup, hair, jewelry, a dress placed on her like she was being prepared for a role. When Lily looked in the mirror, she saw a version of herself built for someone else's world. Elegant, controlled, untouchable. Michael appeared at her door in a tuxedo, eyes scanning her. "You're acceptable," he said. "Thank you," Lily replied flatly. "You're tolerable." A flicker of irritation crossed his face, then vanished. At the venue, cameras flashed. Names were shouted. Michael placed a hand at the small of her back, touch formal but possessive enough to send a message. "Smile," he murmured. "You're a Whitmore now. Act like it." Inside, the room was full of polished predators, people who measured worth in profit margins and power. Lily played her part carefully. She spoke politely, listened more than she talked, avoided revealing weakness. Then Michael's mother approached. Eleanor Whitmore was elegant, cold, sharp-eyed. She looked Lily up and down like she was inspecting an item. "So," Eleanor said, sipping her drink, "you're the solution my son purchased." Lily held her smile. "I'm his wife. For now," Eleanor said lightly, and the insult was delivered like silk. Before Lily could respond, a man stepped into the conversation with a grin too smooth to be friendly. Connor Hale, Michael's rival. A corporate shark with a talent for public humiliation. "Well, well," Connor said loudly. Whitmore finally made a domestic acquisition. He turned his gaze to Lily. "What was the closing price, Mrs. Whitmore? Did he pay cash, or are you financed?" Quiet laughter rippled nearby, polite and cruel. Lily felt heat flood her face. Words stuck in her throat. Michael appeared beside her without rushing, moving with a calm that felt lethal. He placed his hand on Lily's arm, protective, firm. He looked directly at Connor. "My wife," Michael said softly, voice controlled but dangerous, "is worth more than your entire portfolio." Connor's grin faltered. "And she has more class in her silence than you've ever shown in your life," Michael continued. "Choose your next words carefully." Connor lifted his hands. "Joking, Whitmore." "You're not funny," Michael said, and the coldness in his tone made the nearby laughter die. He guided Lily away. In the car, Lily stared at her hands. "Thank you," she whispered. Michael's eyes stayed on the road. "It was required." "It didn't feel required," Lily said quietly. "Don't assign meaning," Michael replied. But Lily had seen it. The possessive anger, the tightening of his grip. She knew that wasn't purely performance. A week later, they attended a high-profile charity art auction. The hall was full of cultural elites and money disguised as taste. Lily moved through the room with a strange ache in her chest. She'd once studied art history, once imagined a life around beauty and meaning. Then real life had arrived with bills and obligations and a father's illness. She stopped in front of a small landscape painting, storm clouds over a dark shoreline, light trapped behind gray. It felt like grief painted honestly. "It's incredible," Lily whispered. A warm voice responded beside her. "It is." She turned to see a man with an easy smile and kind eyes. "I'm James," he said. "Museum board. You clearly have good instincts." They began talking about the brushwork, the mood, the way the artist captured tension without chaos. Lily found herself relaxing, laughing quietly, her shoulders lowering for the first time in weeks. Michael stood several feet away, holding champagne, watching. His face stayed neutral, but his jaw tightened in a tiny, telling way. When the painting went up for auction, James bid quickly, smiling at Lily. "For you," he murmured, playful. Then an anonymous phone bidder joined. James bid. The phone bidder countered instantly. The price climbed higher and higher, becoming the spectacle of the evening. James kept going, caught up, trying to impress Lily. Then the phone bidder offered a final number so absurd it silenced the room. "Sold," the auctioneer announced. James lowered his paddle, laughing softly. "Someone wanted it more than me." Minutes later, an assistant approached Michael with a wrapped package. "Congratulations, Mr. Whitmore," the assistant said. "Your purchase." Lily stared. "That was you?" Michael's eyes flicked to her. "I don't like losing." James approached with a smile. "Well played." Michael stepped forward, placing a firm hand on Lily's back. Possessive, territorial. "Our evening is finished," Michael said, voice low, directed at James more than Lily. Lily's heart kicked hard. In the car, she finally said it. "You didn't do that because you hate losing." Michael's jaw tightened. "Don't analyze me." But Lily understood. It wasn't about the painting. It was about the fact that Lily had smiled at another man. The following weekend, Michael brought Lily to his mother's estate. "It's required," he said. The estate was grand. Stone, ivy, wealth built over generations. The inside air was colder than the outside wind. Eleanor treated Lily with polite disdain, never openly cruel but never kind. Still, away from the city, Lily saw glimpses of Michael that unsettled her. She saw him outside with an old golden retriever, his voice soft as he scratched the dog's ears. She saw him in the library, talking briefly, almost reluctantly, about his grandmother, the only person who'd ever made the estate feel like a home. For a moment, Lily believed the cracks in his armor might widen into something real. Then, Saturday night, the doorbell rang. A woman entered like she belonged there. Tall, stunning, effortlessly confident. The kind of beauty that came from privilege and practice. Lily recognized her immediately from the photograph Michael had hidden. "Michael," the woman said warmly. "I heard you were in town. I had to come." Evelyn Carrington. Michael went still. Eleanor smiled, a real smile. Evelyn kissed Eleanor's cheek like family, laughed with Michael's relatives, then turned her full attention to Michael, placing a familiar hand on his arm. "It's been too long," Evelyn said, voice soft and intimate. The room warmed with shared history Lily wasn't part of. Conversation flowed around Evelyn. Old trips, inside jokes, memories. Lily sat quietly on the sofa, her wine untouched, feeling herself disappear. Michael glanced at Lily once, conflict in his eyes. Then he did nothing. He didn't introduce her. He didn't include her. He let Lily become invisible. The pain was sharp, physical. It was one thing for Eleanor to dismiss Lily. It was another thing for Michael to allow it. Lily stood. "Excuse me," she said calmly, voice steady in a way she didn't feel. "I need air." She walked out into the dark gardens where cold drizzle began again. Tears came silently, mixing with rain. Footsteps sounded behind her. "Lily," Michael's voice. He approached, suit damp, hair wet, expression strained. "You'll get sick," he said. "What does it matter?" Lily snapped, finally letting the hurt show. "I'm just part of a deal, right? A legal arrangement, something you do because you have to." Michael's eyes narrowed. "What are you talking about? You didn't even introduce me," Lily said, voice trembling. "You let her treat me like I wasn't there." Michael's jaw clenched. "This isn't about her. It's about what I am to you," Lily said. "And I know, I can feel it." Michael stepped closer. "You're my wife. In public," Lily shot back. "In private, I'm, what, a promise? A debt?" The word debt made Michael flinch. Lily saw it clearly, her chest tighten. "So it's true," she whispered. This is about my father. Something he did for you. You don't want a wife. You're paying a bill. Who told you that? Michael demanded, voice low. No one had to, Lily cried. It's in the way you look at me, like obligation. Michael stared at the wet ground, fists clenched, breathing controlled as if he could force the truth back down. Finally, he said it. Your father made me promise. Lily froze. Michael's voice was rough. He made me promise I'd take care of you. The confession shattered something inside her. So that's all I am, Lily whispered, tears burning. A duty you're fulfilling. A promise to a dead man. Michael's face tightened. It's not. It is, Lily interrupted. And I'm done. She shoved his hands away when he tried to reach for her. I don't want your charity, she said, voice breaking. I don't want your protection. I want my life back. She ran. Michael chased her. He caught her on the long private road, grabbing her arm gently but firmly. You can't go like this, he said, voice urgent over the storm. Let go, Lily cried. I'm done being your responsibility. Michael's control finally cracked. You're not a responsibility, he snapped. You're… What? Lily demanded. Give me one real reason to stay. Not debt, not duty, one reason. Michael stared at her, speechless. The man who always had words had none. He couldn't tell her everything. Not yet. Some part of the truth was still locked away. So he did the only thing left. He kissed her. Not carefully, not politely. A desperate, furious kiss that broke every rule he'd written. It was jealousy and fear, and truth poured into one reckless moment. Lily resisted for a heartbeat. Then she surrendered, kissing him back with equal desperation. When they pulled apart, rain streamed down their faces. And now what? Lily whispered. Michael's eyes were dark, unguarded. I don't know, he admitted. But I can't pretend anymore. They returned to the estate changed. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. Eleanor's disapproval sharpened. The next morning, Michael asked Evelyn to leave. Things are different, he said simply. Evelyn left furious. Eleanor confronted him. You're choosing her, she said, voice incredulous. Michael's voice was steady. I'm choosing what's real. Later that day, Lily found Michael in the library, looking like a man who had set fire to his own world. I'm leaving, Lily said quietly. Michael's eyes flashed with panic. No, Lily, wait. Lily shook her head. You kissed me because you were desperate. That's not the same as choosing. I chose you, Michael insisted. No, Lily said softly. You reacted. She inhaled, steadying herself. Our contract is broken. The terms are void. I'm going home. Michael's face tightened. We can fix this. Lily's eyes held his. You need to know what you want when you're not cornered. When jealousy isn't driving you. When fear isn't pushing you into decisions. She moved toward the door, then paused. When you figure it out, she said, voice quiet but firm, you know where to find me. She left. Back in the penthouse, Michael's fortress became a tomb. He tried to work, tried to focus, but everything felt hollow. In the quiet aftermath, he realized Lily had been right. The kiss had been desperation, but the feeling that remained now, without the storm, was still there. Love. And love demanded honesty. Michael opened the sealed envelope his father had kept locked away. The letter inside contained the truth Michael had never been allowed to know. Years ago, Connor Hale had framed Michael for insider trading. Evidence fabricated. A career nearly destroyed. William Anderson, Lily's father, had discovered the conspiracy. But Hale had leverage on William, a personal mistake from William's past. Minor, but ruinous if exposed. Hale threatened to destroy William's family unless he stopped interfering. William chose sacrifice. He resigned in disgrace and let his name be stained so Michael could survive. And William made Michael's father swear two things. Michael would never know the truth, and Lily would always be taken care of if anything happened. Michael sat in shock, letter trembling in his hands. His life, his success, had been built on a sacrifice he never understood, and he had repaid it by treating Lily like an asset. He drove to Lily's house. He found her in the garden, tending rose bushes with hands in dirt. She looked tired and strong and guarded. Michael didn't plead. He handed her the letters. You deserve the real reason, he said quietly. Lily read. Her eyes widened line by line. Tears streamed down her face as the truth landed. My father, she whispered. He saved me, Michael said, voice thick. And I did this wrong. I'm sorry. Lily looked at him, grief and confusion tangled. I need time, she said. Michael nodded. I understand. He left her with the truth and the freedom to decide. The next days were agony for him. Meanwhile, Lily wrestled with understanding and hurt. She could see his honor now, but she could also remember the cage he built. That's when Connor Hale approached her, sensing vulnerability and opportunity. He met her for coffee under the guise of sympathy. He slid a folder across the table. "Whitmore uses people," Connor said smoothly. "He used your father. He used you. I have documents, proof of his unethical practices. Help me expose him, and you'll have justice." Lily stared at the folder. It was revenge, wrapped in reason. She thought of the cold man who first appeared at her door, the contract, the humiliation. Then she thought of the man in the rain, the man who had finally confessed, the man who looked shattered without her. She closed the folder. "No," she said clearly. Connor's smile tightened. "Think carefully. My father was honorable," Lily replied, "and he believed in Michael Whitmore. I won't help you destroy what my father died protecting." She stood and left. Lily didn't go home. She went to Michael's penthouse. He was in his study, staring out at the city like a man waiting to be punished. She walked in without hesitation and placed Connor's folder on the table. "He's trying to destroy you," Lily said, "and he tried to use me to do it." Michael looked from the folder to Lily, stunned. She wasn't there to hurt him. She was there to stand beside him. "My father sacrificed his name to save you," Lily said, voice fierce. "I won't let Connor Hale tarnish that legacy again." In that moment, Michael understood something with painful clarity. Words were no longer enough. He had to act. The next day, he held an emergency press conference. The room was packed with cameras and reporters expecting scandal management, corporate spin, damage control. Michael gave them none of that. He told the truth. He spoke of William Anderson, his integrity, his sacrifice. He exposed the conspiracy, naming Connor Hale openly. He displayed documents on a massive screen, proof of William's innocence and proof of Hale's manipulation. He then declared that evidence had been given to authorities. And finally, he looked into the main camera, voice turning personal. "I spent years repaying a debt in silence," he said. "I thought control was strength. I built walls, but walls only make you alone." He took a breath, eyes raw. "I have learned that truth belongs in the light, and the greatest honor I can pursue is becoming worthy of William Anderson's sacrifice and worthy of the love of his daughter." The city erupted. Connor Hale's world began to crack under investigation. The story dominated headlines. Michael had cleared William Anderson's name publicly, permanently. That evening, Michael drove to Lily's house and stood on her doorstep without confidence, without armor, only honesty. Lily opened the door. They stood in silence for a long moment, the weight of everything between them. "That was the bravest thing I've ever seen," Lily whispered. "It was the only thing that mattered," Michael replied. Inside, they sat in the small den where Lily's father used to read, surrounded by memories and warmth Michael's penthouse never had. They talked for hours, honest, sometimes painful, sometimes quiet. Michael admitted the damage he'd done, how he'd hidden behind contracts and rules. "I put you in a cage," he said, "and called it protection. And I walked out," Lily said, "because I won't be owned." Michael reached into his pocket and pulled out a key. "The deed is cleared," he said softly. "No strings, no debts. It's yours fully." He set down a small velvet box. "And this," he said, "is not a demand. It's a question." He didn't open it. He let the choice remain hers. Then he stood to leave, giving her the space he should have given from the start. "Michael," Lily said, stopping him. He turned, hope and fear mixing in his eyes. "I don't want you to move into my life," Lily said quietly. "I want us to build a new one." The weeks that followed were deliberate rebuilding. No contracts, no rules, just trust constructed slowly. Michael didn't force his presence. He showed up with coffee, with dinners, with patience. Lily didn't surrender quickly. She tested him, challenged him, watched to see if he would revert to control. He didn't. The last hurdle was Eleanor. When Eleanor demanded lunch, Michael offered Lily an out. "You don't have to go," he said. "We go together," Lily replied. At the estate, Eleanor was polite and cold. She refused to acknowledge Lily beyond necessary conversation. After coffee, Lily finally spoke. "Mrs. Whitmore," Lily said respectfully, drawing both Eleanor and Michael's attention. "I know I'm not who you would have chosen for your son." Eleanor's eyebrow lifted. "That is accurate." Lily held steady. "Our story began wrong, but I love your son. Not his name, not his power. The man, and he is happier than he has ever been." Silence. Eleanor looked at Michael and saw something she could not deny. He was alive. Slowly, Eleanor retrieved a small ornate box from the mantelpiece and opened it. Inside were antique sapphire earrings. "These belonged to Michael's grandmother," Eleanor said quietly. "She was a woman who fought for what she wanted." Eleanor handed the earrings to Lily. "She would have respected you," Eleanor added, voice softer. "Welcome." Later that week, Michael took Lily to an empty loft filled with sunlight in the arts district. "What is this?" Lily asked, stunned. A beginning, Michael said. He handed her a portfolio. The Anderson Whitmore Foundation, arts education, scholarships, community programs, a legacy built to heal rather than conquer. In your father's name, Michael said. With your vision, with my resources. Lily smiled through tears. That's the best proposal I've ever heard. Their wedding was small, held in Lily's garden, where roses bloomed again, where grief had once lived, where the house that almost disappeared stood firm. No reporters, no performance, just people who mattered. Michael spoke vows stripped of pride. Lily spoke vows stripped of fear. Later, Michael revealed the stormy landscape painting from the auction, the one Lily had loved, the one he'd bought out of jealousy. I didn't buy it to beat James, he admitted softly. I bought it because it was the first time I saw you light up. Lily laughed, wiping tears. You were ridiculous. I was, Michael agreed, and I would be again if it meant seeing you look like that forever. What remained was choice. And in the garden of the home that had once been the center of her grief, Lily Anderson and Michael Whitmore sealed the only agreement that mattered. One built not on debt or duty, but on truth, freedom, and a love strong enough to survive the storm that created it.